Welcome, everybody, to the Band of Gamers Newscast podcast for Thursday, May 25th. I am your host, Osiris Prime, and as always, I'm joined, I should say always, because actually we have a return here of Mr. DBQ Hams. DB, how you doing?
I'm back again. Can't get rid of me yet.
Back and forth. And, of course, Mr. Zeus Adamus. Zeus, how's it going?
I am on 2 hours of sleep, and I have been troubleshooting much equipment.
Oh, boy. Sounds like fun. All right, so let's get started here. We got actually quite a bit of news this week. And first up, we're going to go with Xbox Game Pass is going to launch on June 1st for everybody. But if you are an Xbox Gold member, you can get into a 14-day free trial if you go up on the site there. And actually, this started, excuse me, yesterday. So you get 2 weeks of a free trial, and you'll get over 100 plus titles that are going to be at launch. And some of the notables, you have Halo 5 Guardians, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Mad Max, Terraria, however you say it, NBA 2K16, Sunset Overdrive, Payday 2 for the Xbox One games, and then some backwards compatibility from Xbox 360. You have Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which I find underrated title. BioShock, Fable 3, Gears of War, Soul Calibur, Viva Pinata, and XCOM Enemy Within. So those are kind of the notable titles. I was looking at the full list yesterday, and it was a good mix of I don't know how you want to say this. I guess full AAA titles, if you want to call it that, and then kind of more indie and download type games. So it's a good mix out there for right now, and it's going to be coming out for a lot of Europe, overseas. What do we got here? Asia, some places in Asia, and obviously the U.S. and North America as a whole. So, what do you guys think? Are you gonna try this? At least maybe the 14-day trial.
So I started the trial this afternoon. Actually, did the 14-day or did the free 2 weeks just to kind of see. I mean, I looked at truthfully, I'm more interested in the platform and the model of it than the games that are out there right now. Right? I think that there's not a lot of strong games that are there. As somebody who owns Halo 5, who has had multiple chances to get the free copies of any of the Gears of War backwards compatibility. So the only games I downloaded were the Mega Man. It's been a long night as well, I guess, right? Yeah. Mega Man Collection, a couple Sega Genesis games, and the Scream Ride game, which is the roller coaster kind of tycoon type of game from a couple years back for Xbox One. But again, I think it's a start. There's they do a nice job of kind of highlighting and breaking it down by genre. At $10 a month, it's not a great deal for me right now in terms of what's there, but I could see for somebody jumping in and not having a big library of games that it's well worth it. Or also as somebody who's grown up, renting games back when video stores were a thing, at $10 a month, it comes out to, what my $2.50 weekend rental of a Nintendo game was back in 1980 something. So if I think of it that way, it's not a bad piece there in terms of value. But if I think about it in terms of what's out there, it'll be interesting to see if this is the release and if they have any new splashes about it at E3 to bring in people. How about you, Zeus? Do you have any thoughts? Have you had a chance to look through the full list?
No. As always, this would just be yet another thing that would be clogging my pipes in terms of all the content I have to burn through. So I can't see doing it.
Come on, you don't want to add 100 titles onto your backlog there, or so. Yeah. I'm sure you got some of those.
Yeah. There's a few of those that I have, but yeah, no. I just I mean, for me to make this maneuver, this would be similar to what I did when I cut the cord and went to digital streaming services, right? So at that point, I kind of stopped buying DVDs and Blu-rays. I still buy them occasionally, but by and large, I basically pay Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix to be my warehouse, right, and to house all that content, so I don't have to but I'm not ready to make that move on games yet. It would have to be a total shift for me to go that route.
Yeah, it's an interesting service, but kind of the same way. I have a lot already that I have in backlog. So, and like DB was saying, maybe when something, more stuff that kind of bigger titles I don't have jumps on, maybe I'll jump on it. But I'll probably hit the 14-day trial. I don't know how, is there a limit before you can actually start that? Do you know anybody that trial?
In terms of a limit when you can start it? No,
Yeah.
For me, all I did was I went to the store and there was the Game Pass aspect right there. And you could choose to either do the free trial or to subscribe for $10 a month. And it'll verify just like you're doing a purchase. I'm guessing you then have to, I haven't read the fine print, but I'm going to have to go onto a website, I'm going to guess, to cancel it, probably. It would be interesting to see if I can cancel it right from the Xbox or not, if I, jump out before the 14 days is up.
Yeah,
So.
hopefully they have it that easy, like most services nowadays. And a couple things that they actually didn't mention here in this Polygon article that they had in the past was you do get discounts on games if the games they have up there. So that's nice. I forgot what the percentage was. I don't remember if you remember or not, but
no, I didn't see a percentage. I mean, it definitely is discounted. So like the Scream Ride game, which isn't on another sale right now, I think it seems to almost vary by game. So that game was only $7.50, where the Mega Man collection at a normal $15, it was only on sale for $12. So it's not even a consistent percentage. So it'll be interesting to see if it's a difference between a first-party percentage and a third-party percentage, or how they kind of break that out.
Yeah. All right.
And while this isn't for me, I can definitely see the use case for this, right? So, particularly if you're, say, a dad with a kid or kids with multiple profiles, and for whatever reason you just want your game collections to be separate, right? I could have my own library of games, but then I could enable the Game Pass for access for on a kid's account or something like that.
They have a lot of family-friendly. I mean, it's even one of their categories there. They definitely are kind of thinking about it in that sense of family aspect. So, or multiple users.
Nice. All right. So from one subscription service to another, Mr. Zeux, you want to talk about little PlayStation Plus?
So this story was up over at MCV. So kind of a breakdown on some subscriber numbers as well as financials from Sony. So apparently they had an Investors Day presentation. So kind of I think as a post to their earnings calls. Their recent earnings calls. So the major tale of the tape is that PlayStation Plus subscriber numbers are up to 26.4 million as of last year. So for the year 2016, which is a 20% growth increase from 2015. But the thing is that it's not a totally good news story. So something is going on, and I haven't found all the details on this yet, but something in operating costs for Sony is significantly increasing. So it's their SGA factor, which is their sales. I can't remember what the G stands for, but sales growth and admin. So these are basically charges or expenses that companies incur specifically as they grow bigger and expand their sales pipeline. It's kind of like the overhead that is associated with the cost of doing business. So that's taking a bigger hit. It may represent an additional office opening or them purchasing another building or something. I'm not an expert on these matters, but that's going to take a major hit on their overall earnings. So while their numbers are up, the cost of doing that expanded business is kind of giving them a gut punch, and I would expect that to rectify itself as the quarters go on. But overall, network services are up. PlayStation Plus subscriber numbers are up. They appear to be larger than Xbox Live, although I'm a little concerned that I may not be reading the entire tale of the tape here correctly, because I'm not quite certain how PlayStation Plus could have surpassed Xbox Live considering their Xbox 360 legacy numbers. except for the fact that, potentially, I guess maybe every person who buys a PS4 at least initially signs up for the PlayStation Plus service, and then, their overall numbers of their install base would carry them over that. So the other thing that's a little concerning is that, Sony indicates that the way that they're going to kind of recover in this gap is expansion of VR content. And right now, I just don't see VR as a business foundation being the thing that I would be making my bets on to cover a significant operating expense gap. Again, we've talked a bit on this show or on the core show about how, despite apparently being the thing with the biggest uptake in the VR world in comparison to Oculus and Vive, the fact of the matter is that I haven't really heard people talk about VR since it launched on the PlayStation last quarter, except in kind of dribs and drabs and trickles. So it'll be interesting to see if that plays out. Again, I guess I'm not buying it right now, but it's good. It's good news on the growth numbers overall for the PlayStation Plus subscriber base. I like it because the more those numbers grow, maybe that's a larger incentive for Sony to deliver really solid games in terms of the 2 games for free that they offer per month for subscribers.
Nice. It's good that they're they're growing too. It's always good for business.
Yeah, I should add on the tail end of that that they also mentioned their projection on sales numbers for hardware, and they're expecting that they will have sold up to 78 million PlayStation 4 units by the end of fiscal year 17.
Nice. DB, it looks like you have
just
ARM, or if you have a comment on there.
No, we can jump right in, and a platform that really needs an online subscription service, or at least it needs to address what the heck they're going to do with it, is obviously the Nintendo Switch. And ARMS is coming out later in June, and this weekend and next weekend, there's going to be, just like there was with Splatoon, there's a limited window of a global kind of basically a server stress test, right, is what it amounts to. Is that there's one time on Friday the 26th at let's see here, 8 p.m. Eastern. Do your math depending on where you're living. Saturday you've got 8 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Eastern, and 8 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday the 28th, you've got 8 a.m. Eastern and 2 p.m. Eastern as well. So no, since this is a global test fire, no Memorial Day holiday extra day to enjoy it. But again, it's only in an hour window, or in some cases, as it was with Splatoon, if you got into a match, you might be able to keep going for a little bit longer. So it'll be the first chance for many people to try to see what this game is like, how it plays, how the motion control is, and what that online stability will be like. So more of a question mark, but certainly having some things to talk about, hopefully coming into Monday's show in terms of how this game plays out, and if it feels like a fighting game or is more waggle-based, good old Nintendo Wii boxing. So moving on to another, yeah, go ahead, Zeux, you had a question?
So is it really just 1 hour? Because I was pretty sure Global Test Fire was a 2-hour window, right?
Oh, now I'm gonna have to double check my own fact checks here. So let's see here. Looking at
No, you're right. You're right. I'm surprised. I was sure it was a 2-hour window. The Global Test Fire was a 1-hour window, so that's pretty surprising. But good to hear. The one thing I'll mention is for people who didn't play the Splatoon 2 Global Test Fire, it was mad crazy easy to get into. I was completely taken off guard. I expected that I would try and pull the thing down, and it would take like hours to download because of all the issues that they'd had with the eShop during the launch weekend. But like an hour and a half before the first Global Test Fire on that Friday evening for Splatoon, I just kind of rolled into the store, hit the download link. It came down incredibly quickly, and I was prepped and ready to go when the window opened.
Yeah, I actually started downloading it this evening. It's a fast download, and it's actually been up on the store for over a week now, since whenever Nintendo did their Nintendo Direct. So it's been out there kind of promoting it for people to get it preloaded on their system. So speaking about other things that have been out there and available for people to chew on, or at least rumors. Prime, you've got another Nintendo-related news story that is part speculation and part some art assets there. What's this one?
Yeah, this is something we talked about, I believe, last week on Monday's show when we were talking about Ubisoft's upcoming E3 conference and just kind of what they might have. This is one of the ones that was kind of a rumor mill. So it's the Raving Rabbids crossover from Ubisoft and Nintendo. There was some promotional art, or an image, at least one image, that was released from Comic Books WWG, which I'm not familiar with that website, but it looks like it's going to be a RPG, more of like a strategic RPG where you play either as Mario, Luigi, Peach, or Yoshi, and then you have their Rabbids counterparts that are basically dressed in the same outfits as Mario and Luigi and all of them. And the art shows that. And I guess the one thing you can kind of get out of this is pretty much, or at least the Mario characters are using guns of some kind. So that's a little different, I guess. I don't think there's ever been any kind of guns using Mario, at least not that I can think of. Maybe, I guess, in Smash Brothers, but that's not like a main Mario game or anything. So it's going to come out.
The arms are like there's a cannon attached to their hand. It's very strange. How about that?
It almost looks like a Mega Man gun.
Yeah.
But like Mario's is in shape of a bullet bill, which is kind of cool. But everybody else looks like it's just kind of like colored to their whatever their color is. So Peach is pink, and Luigi and Yoshi looks like they're green. So, and then the Rabbids look like they're throwing some kind of, I don't know, it's like a bomb or something. So I don't know. It's weird, or at least one of them is. And it's rumored to come out this fall, summer, end of summer in August. So we'll have to see what that's going to be about. Any thoughts on this? It looks interesting. I guess there's only one image.
Yeah, it's not even really an image yet at this stage. It's kind of, it's box art is what it looks like, right? So I think the most interesting thing for me is to see what type of engine it's running in terms of, did they build something unique for it? Is is Ubisoft using one of their existing kind of engine as a platform? The mechanics of Ubisoft's South Park game, right? Last Generation, those mechanics, it was kind of a turn-based role-playing. The mechanics were sound. So, or if it leans more within kind of the intelligent systems and the Alpha Dreams aspect of the Mario and Bowser RPG aspects there. So, lots of questions. It'll be interesting to see, but it'll be even more interesting to see who they kind of think is their core audience for this.
Yeah, it looks like it's like supposedly it's supposed to be like a 20-hour story campaign. So, and I guess, who knows? It looks like it's going to be developed by Ubisoft Paris and Milan, which I didn't even know they had studios there, but evidently they do. Zeux, any comments? You think you'd pick this up?
No. So, Rayman Rabbids is always like a side game for me. It's something. It's a franchise I only pick up games for, like if it's one game in a very limited launch window, like there was for Xbox One, or if they're free. Remember, I'm not a huge platformer fan, so and just make a speculative response to DB's question. So I guess the Rayman Rabbids games have been done in something called the Ubi Arts engine. And Assassin's Creed now is using Anvil, and that's kind of becoming a framework that they're kind of settling into. So I'm guessing it's some Ubisoft framework that's widely dispersed throughout the company and utilized for all their games.
Yeah, they've used the UbiArt one for a number of the Rayman games. They've used it for Vandal Hearts. Children of Light, was another kind of 2D. They used it for a number of 2D games, so it'll be interesting to see how this is. At the same time, as a dad, my kids maybe are kind of past the age of this, but I could have seen 2 years ago that they would have eaten this up at some stage. So, then again, 2 years ago there was a Rabbids show on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network at some stage. I don't know if it's even still on.
Yeah.
So. But, a Switch RPG that could be engaging or lighthearted, it might be, given how sparse that kind of release lineup will be for the fall, it could certainly fill a niche. So.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so from raving rabbits to raving girl gamers, rabbit girl gamers, Zeus. what's our next story?
Yeah, so I came across this story over on Kotaku, which is not a site that I read frequently and definitely not in depth. This is a fairly long post, but it's titled "Only Girls Syndrome Pits Gamer Girls Against One Another." I thought it was an interesting post and an interesting piece on social commentary, and maybe kind of highlights a group dynamic that people who are not minorities may not be conscious of. And what this is there was an Overwatch session that was I think live streamed that and recording of the one segment of video from that live stream kind of went viral because it was two women playing the same character, I think, and totally getting onto each other for their gameplay. And there was a lot of trash talking and accusations about how well each girl was playing the character and that they were playing it incorrectly and that they weren't as good as they thought they were. And in a world where we've heard a lot of these stories of men down talking women in games, this one kind of stands out as two women speaking out against each other. So it kind of caught my eye because, as a minority who went to whose classmates coming up through school were predominantly Caucasian, I definitely get this dynamic, right? When you're the one minority in a group, that dynamic shifts and you attenuate to it when somebody from your same minority enters that circle of friends, right? So it gets a little different when you're the only person with that perspective in a group, and now there are two people with that perspective in a group. I will also say, in the African American community, this is a commentary that has come up from time to time. And when you are younger, it's a little competitive as it got between these two women. But as you get older, and particularly if you're in a larger organization, right, you start to recognize that, people from the same minorities being in conflict, who are, in an organization with a larger majority population are not good, right? It's generally better for those minorities to ensure that they get along, right? So this is just an interesting dynamic. I think it's worth a read. It's a very long post, but like I said, it maybe highlights certain aspects that might allow people to empathize more, particularly in the gamer community, as we try and extend our culture and our existence away from the negative image that was created by things like Gamergate and other events.
Yeah, thanks, Zeus. I appreciate the link, and I think it's worthwhile and valuable to have that discussion, or at least to keep that in mind for everybody as you're interacting. Yeah.
And so from minorities fighting online, I'll step over to characters fighting online. This seems to be a big year for fighting games. We just had Injustice 2 that dropped last week. We've got Street Fighter coming up here, I think shortly. I think it releases over the summer on the Switch. Yep. Maybe near the end of summer.
Actually, this week. So.
Okay. Oh. It's kind of funny how all those Switch titles just kind of sneak up on you, isn't it? So Tekken 7 will also be dropping here in about another week on the 2nd of June. So I guess that's a Friday release, which is kind of one of those weird things I'm still trying to get used to. I reckon it's the standard structure where it's going to be available digitally on the Friday, but physical copies will be in stores the following Tuesday. The official trailer is up now. It just dropped a couple days ago. So anybody who's a Tekken fan, the trailers are always kind of neat to watch. They always paint this picture of a story, which I guess you don't necessarily get actually in the game most of the time. So it's a nice piece of window dressing that might allow for some understanding of the connective tissue between the fights that you witness on screen. I've always been a big fan of the Tekken series. I played with Tekken Tag Team that summer. I played dozens of hours of games in competitive local PvP, just kind of at the place I was staying at for those 3 months. So it's nice to see another chapter dropping, high quality graphics and everything. I'm sure it's PlayStation 4 Pro enhanced. So get them while they're hot.
Yeah, I think I stopped playing after 5, I believe, and it just frustrated me so bad because the end boss was just so cheap. I just couldn't get past him, no matter what character I was trying to use. So it kind of soured me on the franchise. But I do like they always did have quality, the cutscenes and the movies, the opening and the ending. They always had like endings for every character, which was one of the things I like to do like in fighting games, is go through each character. Some of the newer fighting games like Mortal Kombat and Injustice, or at least the first one. I don't know about the newest one, the second one. They kind of have their own just like single player storyline, so there's not really a story for each character. I think now for the new one there might be of Injustice, but I know the other two that there wasn't, so kind of missed that. So it'd be kind of nice if they go back to that. But let's jump into the Microsoft news here. Looks like we have a rebrand.
Yeah, so
kind of surprised everybody.
As of today, as of May 25th, so the streaming service formerly known as Beam is now called Mixer, and so the big pieces that came with this, in addition to whatever update logo and images, in terms of branding, but there are some functionality pieces that have been added as well. So the streaming app is entering a beta for both iOS and Android, and it's got what I think is probably the most interesting piece. It's got a feature called co-streaming. So it'll let streamers integrate multiple channels into one broadcast, kind of built into the infrastructure of the platform. So it says, right, with the push of a button, that you'll be able to link up and join. So if you're playing, a team-based game, whether that's competitive or collaborative, being able to show multiple streams is something that it could be very interesting, given the size of things like Overwatch or MOBAs and other types of games where we're looking at multiple team-based structures. So it'll be interesting to see how this picks up. You guys have both used Beam in the past. Have you had a chance to update this yet, or at least have seen anything else about it in terms of functionality?
I have not had a chance to try yet. I actually just saw the article today about the rebrand. Not on this article, but I think it was on one for maybe Polygon or IGN. They had mentioned they were talking to the Minecraft creators, and they're saying how maybe they can, in the future, they can, when you're playing the games, you can like actually interact with the host in game and say like drop like different enemies into the game, or just change the environment somehow. So that I thought was kind of cool. I don't know if they've ever tried anything like that on any other kind of like Twitch or anything, but I thought that was kind of cool. And that was kind of the only example they gave, but looked pretty interesting. Zeux, I know it kind of shocked you when you saw this.
Yeah, so I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I've been plagued by a number of technical problems that have required a not insignificant amount of labor effort. One of those is my Galaxy Note 5, which is just over a year old, has been behaving really badly, and so today I finally hit the point where I just had to wipe it and factory reset it. So I've spent a chunk of the morning re-downloading all of my apps, and I downloaded the Beam app and put it on the phone. Then this afternoon, as I was leaving work, I looked at the phone again. Beam wasn't on there, which I didn't notice at the time, but there was this new app called Mixer. And I was like, what the heck is this thing? Did I download this and just forgot about it? So it just showed up. Interestingly, I just checked my iPad mini, and the Beam app was still on there. In my update queue, there was Mixer, and when I manually just told it to go ahead and update, it did the same thing. It then replaced the Beam app, and now in that slot on my home screen is the Mixer app. So, yeah, a bit surprising, and I know I'm a pretty heavy mobile user, and I'm very disconcerted when I see apps show up out of nowhere. I'm not quite certain what Microsoft could do to better advertise it or make you aware of it. I'm probably more bothered by the fact that it wasn't so much that I didn't know that it was coming, but then once it's there, I'm like, how am I supposed to figure out what this app is other than opening it on my mobile device and letting it run amok? So, and this is the week after the WannaCry event. which impacted another Microsoft product. So maybe not the smoothest execution.
Yeah, did either of you two even know that they were going to do this? Was there any sign at all that this was happening?
No, right? I mean, I would assume Zeux, as somebody who uses it, that they've got your email somewhere in there as somebody who's logged in, that would be like, an easy marketing PR piece of even 2 days, 48 hours beforehand saying, coming this week, right? And here's the bullet points of what it will do to you. Yeah, I haven't, looking online, it doesn't seem like there's been any other press about it other than the fact that it happened, and now people are kind of exploring it.
Right, and in another one of my things where I get frustrated at a company's hypocrisy, or even when it's something that maybe they just didn't think through. I was just thinking today, like, I am frustrated by the saturation that occurs in my Outlook.com inbox that's connected to my Xbox Live account, where I'm constantly being assaulted by these emails about them wanting to redeem wanting me to redeem my Microsoft points that I have for the store. And I'm like, I don't need 2 of these emails like every single day. And now I'm doubly frustrated because I'm like, you could have sent to my inbox an email heads up that you were rebranding this app, and that anywhere we had it installed, it would flip over. So, let's use that bandwidth for something productive.
Yeah, I know you had mentioned Monday about their regular email, just the Xbox newsletter thing that they send out, how it's kind of vague. So it's like they have problems with their marketing here. So hopefully they can straighten it out and get things going a little bit better. So, well, I think that'll finish the show off here today. Episode 90, by the way, I don't think I mentioned that when I introduced the newscast earlier. The newscast has graduated to full episodes now, so no more halves. That's nice. Any last words, Zeux? I don't know if you wanted to mention the kind of recruitment that we're doing.
Yeah, so you can check out gearworks.com, and also my Twitter feed. The addresses for that are both in my lower third, and there are messages there about a recruiting drive for us as we prep to rebrand the podcast and relaunch it the week after E3.
Cool. And then actually, we got one more here one more news item that I'm gonna get in here real quick. So we got Red Dead Redemption, which was supposed to be coming out sometime this fall, 2017, has been pushed back now to spring of 2018, and that's coming out for the PS4 and Xbox One. And I'm just gonna say it right here. They're delaying it so they can bring it to the Switch. I think that's gonna happen. No, but seriously, they actually just said that they want some extra time on the game so they can deliver the best experience possible for their fans. So that's nice of them. Were you guys looking forward to this title?
I was looking forward to the announcement that it was going to be delayed. It's a Rockstar title, right? I mean, it's going to be delayed. It'll come out when it's ready, and it's going to sell huge. They're in no rush to push it out by holiday. So I expected it, given the size and scope that they're trying to do. Especially, I would assume that they're going to try to build in a pretty robust online from the get-go, given how big of a revenue piece that's been for GTA.
Yeah, we're Rockstar. We write our own checks. And it's not unusual. It is surprising to me that they pushed it out of the holiday quarter, particularly when I don't really know. I mean, Destiny 2 is a different thing, so I don't really know that they had a ton of competition this holiday quarter. And there are some big games and some interesting games, but Red Dead Redemption is something special, and I don't know that there was any other Colossus in the same genre / subgenre as them from a game design perspective. So it's just interesting. It's the norm for Rockstar, but I don't know that it's that much of a norm for them to push out of a holiday quarter.
Yeah, it'll be sometime in spring, so I'm probably gonna think like May. I think they've released a couple of games during that time period, so we'll see. We'll just have to wait, I guess. So hopefully, they'll polish it up. So. And I think, unlike GTA 5, maybe they'll have the online actually ready for release date. So maybe that's the big thing. Hopefully, so we'll see. So with that, I think we will bring this newscast to an end. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and share, and tell your friends and family. And we will see you Monday. We should be here next Monday with our topic of the week and our, the games we've been playing the past week and weekend. So join us for that. And on behalf of myself, Osiris Prime, and Zeux and DBQ Hams, we will see you next time.